How is everybody doing today? Welcome to the Making Awesome podcast. I am still dealing with some technical issues. We are trying to use Fathom, which is a an AI thing for meetings and all that to help me better cut down this podcast. But I can't get it to work on a single person stream, so that's really really odd. And on top of that, it changes my it changes everything on my side. So I wanted to just get in here. We'll start the stream in just a few minutes. Sorry for the outlines in the back, but I can't change my picture to get rid of them. So you guys will have to, unfortunately, deal with that. And for some reason, Fathom is still saying it's awaiting attendees. So that is a bummer. I might have to join. I wonder if I join on my phone. I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, guys, welcome to the Making Awesome podcast. We're going to be talking all about getting from that hobby into a job and what all of that looks like, because it is not anywhere near as easy as you might think. There are some problems that we run into. And it's not just, oh, let's just have a bunch of fun and learn how to make money with your printers. Oh, and I guess since the cat's not here, I have to put Greenfield in their place. It's not that easy, and we're gonna talk about it. But before we do, let's say hi to some people. We got Shotgunner5609 saying good morning. Daniel England, happy Sunday. Savvy515 says hello, fine day to make awesome. Geek Toy Box says hello. Mr. Catlit. Black Canyon Model Works, hi from Colorado. Madcat USA says hola peeps. And Motiform Prototyping, good evening from Sweden. So yeah, if anyone knows how to use this AI note taker thing with a single person Zoom meeting, I would love to know, because I currently don't know how, and it's driving me up the damn wall. um, it is what it is. I wonder if I took. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, I can put up participants, and it won't show it on your screen. Yeah, I'm bummed, because our goal right now is to take the podcast and cut it down into short form content for YouTube. And this one was one that I was really looking forward to using. So you know what? Let me log it on my phone. What the heck? Right? Give me a second. Let me see if I can do this real quick. And I will do it, because I think it needs another participant. And if it doesn't have it, it might not do it for me. So give me just a second here, guys. Which one am I using? I am using Fathom, is an AI note taker. And let me just email myself a link. 2 seconds. I apologize for those that are coming in. But I hope everyone is having a lovely day. I am trying to make something work that I would absolutely love, love, love to have, because it will make the life of this channel so much better. What did Mad Cat say? Which one are you using? Ping me on Discord if you need a different person in a Zoom meeting. I'm just going to use my phone, because I think I can do that pretty easily. But yeah, we might end up needing a second person in a Zoom meeting, which is a little odd. But my phone isn't going to use anything specific. So it should, now that there's another attendee in here, it should let me do it. It still says awaiting attendees. Uh-oh. Why is my note taker thinking that it's got its camera on? Give me just a second. Turn off camera. I can't do that. Well, all right. Well, this is not going to work, unfortunately. I guess I can't turn off its camera. Huh. Give me just a second, guys. This was not expected. Oh, I can stop the video. There we go. All right. If I stop its video. Oh, cool. All right. Everything is working now. All right. If I turn that off. Cool. Let's go. All right. I got it to work. This is going to suck. It means I have to have my phone in these meetings too, but I can put my phone on a charger at the same time. I appreciate everybody hanging out and working with me here. This one's going to be a little bit weird, but I mean, you don't come here because it's amazing. You come here for the weird, don't you? So we will have to figure out what to do in the future. Anyways, let's get right into this thing. We see Robert Sneed says, hello all. Welcome from Iowa. Got snow and it's still trying to snow. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Carl Mobus is asking, how is the bamboo working? It went through 7 kilos of filament before having a failure, and it ate an entire hot end, which we will be doing a video on unclogging it, and took up like 6 hours of my day. So I'm currently pissed off at it. So, you know, our Prusas will run much, much, much more often without failures than that thing will. And while, yes, it was faster, and yes, those 7 kilos are going to make me quite a bit of money, and it will pay for the bamboo, I am still a little upset with all the problems that I am having with it, especially because this material I've been using for years in other machines. So, anyways. All right, guys, let's get into this, right? So many people got 3D printers for the holidays, right? So many people did, and a lot of them are wondering, how the actual hell can I make money with these printers, right? Because it's not easy, and some people want that, as Pooch says on his podcast, hobby into jobby. And it's not as easy of, oh, I'll just put it online and people will show up and they'll pay me. No, they're probably not going to do that. Also, the fun thing about Fathom is that it has a monologue feature that will count how long I've been talking, which means we're going to go for a high score in these podcasts because I'm the only person in the meeting. But hey, that's all right. Yeah, living in Florida means we don't get snow. It is currently 80 degrees Fahrenheit or 26 degrees centigrade out right now, and it is mostly cloudy according to my clock. But let's get a little bit of that podcast voice going on as we talk, right? Getting one printer and thinking that you can make a business out of it is a little bit misleading. And there are a few things that I want to specifically discuss, so let's review them real quick. We want to go over, should you turn it into a job? What has to change for that to happen? What pricing will have to look like? The basics of competition, how to deal with that competition, basics of pricing, and how to stand out amongst competition. Now, every one of those topics will effectively be its own dedicated podcast at some point. But for us to get there, we have to review them first, right? Then I can key back to this one and say, hey, if you're looking for a general idea of what things look like, you can go to this podcast. But if you're looking for just all about how to deal with competition, we've got a dedicated podcast for that one too. And what we do have a dedicated thing for is the like button, and I greatly appreciate if you do leave a like, and if you're not subscribed, get subscribed. Greatly appreciate any support that you guys might provide to us. Thank you for all of your support. But looking at, should you turn your hobby into a job? I can't answer that for you. I can't answer for you whether or not you should or shouldn't. But if you're willing to work hundreds of hours a week for little to no money, maybe, just maybe, you are ready to be in your own business. Now, initially, it's not going to make you money, right? You're going to have all these extra expenses. You're going to be building out a team, and you might also have a day job to deal with. And if you just go all in, you're going to find yourself wondering, wait a minute, when's that paycheck come in? And it probably won't for a while, and it certainly isn't going to be one that is the size that you're used to, at least initially. When we look at the factors that are involved here, it's not as simple as I'm going to open an Etsy shop and make $250,000 a year. We've seen influencers and content creators talk about opening Etsy shops and making $50,000-$60,000 in a weekend, but they also talk about all the effort that goes involved into it. And that move from hobby to jobby means you might end up hating the job. So think about if all you want to do is eat, sleep, and breathe 3D printing, or whatever it might be, right? We're going to specifically cover 3D printing because that is the focus of this channel. But, it could be laser cutting, it could be CNC milling, it could be, a mechanic. There are so many things that you can do as a hobby that can also be turned into a job. And I would generally recommend that you avoid it. Now, I'm not saying that to keep competition down. I welcome competition and I want people to get out there and turn this into a job, but I don't think the vast majority of people understand what it takes. Even I myself sometimes forget what it takes to run a business, right? It is very easy to treat this like a hobby where I'm just kind of making parts every now and then, fixing stuff for people, sending it out in the mail, and money comes and goes, right? That's absolutely something that we deal with and something that others will deal with too. When looking at what you want to do, you got to see, is it making you enough money? Some people just want their 3D printing to pay for their materials so they can have a hobby with a very slight business portion to it that pays to enable them to further their hobby, right? Because hobbies can get expensive. I just bought that Bamboo Lab X1 carbon. That thing's like $1,600 US. So much money. And if you don't have jobs to pay for it, you're taking a risk, and that risk might not always work out in your favor. And I don't want that out of people. I want people to be able to spend some money on something and be able to earn it back, right? And of course, guys, make sure to add comments in the chat and all that. We have a live chat rolling right now, so if you are watching and you want to get a part of the conversation, please do. Carl Mobus says, I've ran about 9 kilos through my bamboo since October, including 1 kilogram of carbon fiber nylon, 2 kilograms of white, both super abrasive. White is not technically super abrasive, but fine. And I'm on the same hardened steel nozzle it came with. You should be, because if you're not, then the hardened steel is not hardened steel. I've ran 8 kilos through mine and have had 3 major failures, and it is frustrating to me. But we're going to get to that in another video. There's going to be a dedicated video about my trials and tribulations with this bamboo and what it's been like. Because I didn't get a review unit. I bought it. So there isn't a golden unit here or something like that. I got something off the shelf that other people could expect. And some issues that I dealt with, even staff members from Bamboo Lab said is not okay. So, ignoring any of the community issues, which they are really cracking down on. I'm very proud of them for doing that kind of thing. But going back to this whole, what type of business do you want to make out of it? If it is just a hobby that makes you a little bit of money, then hey, keep doing what you're doing. Sell parts. But you do need to be very, very careful about how much time you're spending. In this world, you can get a lot of things. Extra time is not one of them. There is not any amount of money in this world, as I'm currently speaking and to my knowledge, that will give you more time. You have 24 hours in a day. You are eventually needing to sleep. And if you say, well, I can burn the midnight oil and still do a day job, you are going to run into a problem where your performance slips in your day job and people are going to take notice. So if you do want to turn this into a business, you have to ask yourself, how legit do you need this to be? If your goal is to sell some parts on Facebook Marketplace and, get in tune with the trends on Etsy when possible, then hey, enjoy it. You're going to pay for your filament. You might pay for your printers eventually, but, you're going to have a hobby that is reasonably well self-funding. And that's what a lot of people are looking for. I would love to have hobbies that are self-funding. I know others do as well. But that step of taking it seriously means at some point, you got to quit the day job. For me, I went all in and said, screw it. I'm just going to quit my day job immediately. I'm going to go right into doing this kind of thing and do it professionally. for a living. Now, I can't say that I have been able to do it for a living, right? I haven't been able to pay myself since we started 3D Musketeers, and it's actually why there are all these call to actions for certain things like Patreon and YouTube channel memberships, because I believe that I can get a salary faster with YouTube than I would be able to with the business. But that is due to the nature of a service-based business, which we will get to in a bit. It is not as easy as people want you to believe it is. Right? To stand out on Etsy, you need to have really good photos and your price needs to be competitive. But if you want to value your time, your price is not going to be competitive. Looking at what you make in your day job right now, I would hope that most people here are making at least $15 an hour. And I would love that for you, right? $15 an hour to me is the bare minimum for people to be able to live. I found out earlier that one of our staff was still making $15 an hour. Unfortunately, the company minimum has been 17 for a while, and I totally didn't know. So I gave them a bump up to 20 because they earned it. And it's my fault for not letting them know. I want them to know that they're valued here and to know that, yeah, their expenses have increased over the years and their pay should increase as well. They've just never mentioned it to me, and I just pay whatever comes in terms of an invoice. But it's because I know that I can trust my people. That's a big deal too. We'll get into trust in a bit as well. But looking at the future of what you want your life to be, if you want the ability to take vacations and be able to spend a lot of time with your family, you're going to have to plan for this in the beginning and say that you need to hit these certain marks or you need to give up on it. A lot of people in their day jobs will be making at least $30 an hour. I mean, 60 grand a year is a pretty reasonable day job, I think. Now, a lot of people can be making less and a lot of people will be making more, right? But let's call $30 an hour. You know what? Let's do it at 15. Let's do it at 15 because 15 is, you can get $15 an hour at most places if you're reasonably well qualified. $15 an hour is easy to get. So let's use that because I know there are a lot of people here that are in the chat, myself included, that are woefully underpaid for the work that they do. And if you are underpaid, it's time to fix that. Look at how you might be able to supplement the income of your day job with some sort of business style on the side. And those that are in our Patreon our Patreon Discord know that I will talk very openly about what we do here at 3DM, openly about how we charge for things and what that looks like because, well, we have a general policy of don't be a dick, right? Be good to each other and they'll be good to you. It's really great you keep on top of what minimum wage should be. Ruin, I think. I don't know. I want my team to be paid well, right? Because if they're not paid well, I don't care how much they like their job. They're going to have to go somewhere else to make more money. It's a guarantee. It has to occur. And so I want people to be able to survive, right? Like, we don't want our staff to be struggling to pay their bills. That's not a great way that it works out. We want people to survive. And you as a business might say, well, I want to pay people as little as I can. And that is wrong. You should pay people what they're worth. Please pay people what they're worth. And they're worth more than you think, right? And if they start at a lower salary, let them show that they're worth more. It is not my job as a business owner to give out raises, right? It is the job of a staff member to request it. And yet we still give it out because we want people to know it's okay to ask. Be that person to them. Be that person to them. Carl says there was too much bad blood between Bamboo and Prusa fans spilling out into Twitter and Maker channels, and we just got sick of it. Everything is into the same hobby. Get along. Yeah, I would say that too if they didn't dox me on their Facebook group. So, Printed Parts Inc. says, hey, side hustle here for me. Takes a lot of time, but using this to pad retirement. Created a solo 401k for my wife, and this is where all the profit's going. Main job makes too much to quit that. And you might find that that's possible. For me, I said I wanted to go all in, and you might be willing to do that same thing. But no, if you can't survive for 3 to 5 years without a single dime of money coming into your pocket, then you've got another thing coming and you're not ready. A lot of jobs will let you either potentially, go to part-time or go to being just a contractor rather than a W-2, where you're able to set your own hours and still be able to provide and get some salary. But I will say that working a day job and doing 3D printing at night does limit you to who and what you're able to work with. I went all in because I want to work with other businesses. Working with businesses is where I make money. Working with consumers is where I unfortunately waste a lot of my time. Because businesses, even though you're still working with one individual, will have a higher dollar value. We just did one job that paid for the bamboo. One print job. Now, it was 5 days worth of printing on the bamboo, but it was the first job that printer ever ran paid for it. And I don't think that you could do that with individuals. Now, companies realize this, and some of them will have people that will troll Etsy and Facebook Marketplace after hours to find people that can work with them, but are willing to take less money. So please don't undersell yourself, right? Your entire thought process has to change when you look at creating a business, because all of a sudden, people that might be your friends are customers, and they can still be your friends too. But if they owe you money, you need to go collect on it because you have bills to pay and you have, reasons to go after them, right? If you make a part for a friend and they're supposed to give you $20 and they say they got you the next time you guys are out having some brewskis, that's something different. That's a little quid pro quo. It's not legal for politicians, but it is for business owners, for whatever that might be worth. As Kasat Mandinga says, there are also places that will view your company as competition and they won't let you have both a job there and your own business. Abso-freaking-lutely. You need to be very careful about contracts that you've signed in your day job. If you are an engineer as a day job and you want to start a 3D printing company on the side, I would almost guarantee you that you cannot do that because there's going to be a non-compete and non-disclosures. You also might say, well, I bet I could get the customers that I work with in my day job to work with me on my side hustle. You probably can if you try hard enough, but you're going to get sued for it because that's competing directly with your day job. And you are not being fiscally responsible to your initial day job, and you're utilizing that as a means to poach clients. Now, you might not have that, and you might say, well, hey, I'm going to roll the dice. Then roll the damn dice. But don't come crying to me when you get sued, because businesses can throw around lawsuits like it's nobody's business. You as an individual get slapped with a lawsuit and go try to retain an attorney at $6,000, you're going to have a bad time. And that's why this whole idea of turning a hobby into a job is way more complicated than you might think. The complexities involved here are not just contractual obligations to your current employer, it's contractual obligations you will have to your future staff, your future customers, your future business, and what that looks like. You can't expect people to work from you. Well, you can't expect people to work for you in the time that you're working for yourself, right? They want to have their own personal lives. You can't expect staff to work the same hours that you work, especially if you don't plan on paying them for those hours. You might say, well, Grant, I need extra help, but I don't have the money to afford them. Good luck. You're going to have to do it yourself. You're going to have to decide if you want to do this yourself. Has Kasab is saying, scary thought, Grant doing healthcare. Yeah. Hell, looking at what healthcare would cost us, my God, it would ruin us. It would financially ruin 3D Musketeers if we had, to provide insurance. All of our staff are 1099s, for those that don't know. They're independent contractors. A lot of them have day jobs, and they work for us on their off time. They are all allowed to do it from their day jobs, and I make sure of it because I don't want them putting my company in a bind. When we look at it the way that we do, it means that everyone is starting from a clean slate, being able to work with each other in a form of honesty. And for a long time, we did it all myself, right? I was all me. Now, you'll have the desire to say it's I, it's me, it's I, it's me. It's not. It's a we. As soon as you start a business, it's me, Grant, doing all the work. While it is me, Grant, doing the vast majority of the work that we do here, that's not something that people need to know. It's a we, right? We have staff, we have people that work with us, and it is a team, right? The only time that it is ever only on me is when we fail. I don't blame it on staff. It's not staff's fault. It's my fault for not properly planning. And you need to get into that mindset of when it's a win, it's everybody. When it's a fail, it's you. Because ultimately the buck stops with you as a business owner, right? And you might say, well, Grant, that just sounds like so much work. Then you're not ready for it. And that's okay. It's okay to not be ready to do this professionally. 3D printing or making as a profession is way harder than you may think. Way harder than you may think. Especially with 3D printers coming down in price, right? We reviewed and we haven't reviewed it yet. The Sovol SV06. I've said it before and I'll say it again. That printer is way too damn good for its money. Way too damn good for its money. And yesterday, I ran my Lulzbot Test 6 for the first time. It's sitting up there. And I did not weigh the filament out. And it ran out of filament. Like an hour before the print was finished. And it ruined the entire print job. And that sucks. And the only reason I didn't run it on a different printer is because the G-code was already on that printer, and I've been meaning to bring it up online to see if I can make use of it again. And the answer is I can't. So that printer needs to go. If you're local to Tampa Bay and want a Lulzbot Taz 6, reach out to me. I'll get rid of it for cheap. When we look at this different mindset, right? You're not just going there, punching in a time clock, pretending like you're doing work for a couple of hours, going to lunch, maybe get a few emails done, a couple of meetings that should have been emails, and some phone calls that should have been emails, and then leaving, driving home, going home to where you can ignore everything that happens in that day job, to you live, sleep, breathe, eat, all of this, your business. I work as soon as I wake up to as soon as I go to bed. I'm always thinking about working, and it is going to put a strain on your relationship. So make sure that anyone that you're in a relationship with is aware of this, because if they're not, it's going to be a bit of a challenge, and it will weigh on those relationships. So make sure that you are taking the time to take care of the others around you, because you don't want to find yourself in a position where your business has ruined a relationship. It's not something you want to find. So really, yeah, as Madcast says, working or playing late into the night. Yes, we are playing video games more often with the Patreon members. So we were playing a lot of Satisfactory last night. And I'm doing that more to take care of my own mental health. Content creators talk about this all the time, of how content creation is just a drain on your mental health because you are a slave to a computer program that decides whether or not your videos should get pushed to others. And it is a lot. It is a lot. But I have to look at YouTube as more of a day job and 3D Musketeers as my full-time job. And if I do it that way, it's definitely been a little bit more easy for me to handle. Let's go with that. But so what else has to change here, right? The mindset of you can give things away as long as it covers the cost of your filament does not make you a business. What is the sole purpose of a business? The sole purpose of a business is to make money. The one goal of a business is to make money. And if you're not making money, you don't have a business. You have a charity. And coming from someone that ran a charity for a long time, it's not fun. It's not fun to look at what your time is valued at and realize it's valued at a negative amount. If your company loses money its first year, your time is not just worthless, it is negative value. And you might say, well, that means if I work less, the company makes more. No, most of the time, the answer is no. There is a certain limit and level that you must put in to have a successful company. And don't believe what these online, oh, you can do Amazon FBA. You can make passive income by spending millions of dollars on, houses and rent them out in Airbnb. You have no idea how non-passive those jobs are. You know how those people make money as passive income? They claim that there are these experts in these industries and they sell you their courses, when all they're really doing is telling you similar things to what I'm telling you here. Now, they might have specific industry knowledge that I don't have for their industries, but I tell you that I have industry knowledge that they don't have for mine either. Angelin. Nope, I'm just going to say Angelin. Other parts of the world, people are still working for companies with no NDA or contractual dispositions and stuff like that. This is true. They think that doing business in the US while also having a day job is much harder than it is on other areas of the world. Lots of paperwork, conditions, and preconditions. I absolutely agree. I know a lot of people in the EU and the UK, since those can't be the same thing anymore, that also do 3D printing on the side, that are maker businesses on the side. Like Wexter, for instance. He does another job. His job is not 100% just the 3D modeler, but it's his passion. He has another passion as well. I'm not going to share it because it's not my place. But he has another passion. And it is a lot easier for him to do that because, the idea of don't be a dick is just understood in other areas other than the States. But because over a quarter of our viewership comes from the United States, I'm going to use the United States as my example. Also because that's where I live. And I don't know much about how things occur in other countries. It's not my thing. Angela saying, not saying that doing business in general is easy, just in some other countries, generally undeveloped from a legal point of view. Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. Vast CNC says the buy my course people are exhausting. They permeate so many niches. And they do. And they do it because it works. They do it because it works. Right? Everyone has this idea of being able to make money online while you're at home. Right? You can be at home with your kids and your family, and your computer is just clickety-clacking away on itself, making you money. And the answer is that it's not impossible, but it is incredibly unlikely. And the $1,000 class that Grant Cardone is going to teach you is not going to give you jack shit, other than maybe a really good feeling about who you are and what you're capable of doing. A lot of these classes I find are more motivational speaking than anything else. Because if you can motivate someone and get them out of the hole that they're in, they have a tendency to do better. You might be going through the worst shit in your life. Look, I went through a back injury that damn near paralyzed me. I could not move. And if it wasn't for Amber being there by my side through all of it, I would have never gotten through that injury. I promise you, I would have not have gotten through that injury. I still deal with back pain every single day. Like, my goal yesterday is a little bit me telling about my personal life, but whatever, deal with it. My goal yesterday was to do the laundry. That involves me getting clothes out of a hamper, getting clothes that might have missed the hamper when I tossed them in there, right? Who doesn't, go for the three-pointer from time to time? And, well, white guys can't jump, so I didn't make it. But getting the ones off the floor was so challenging for me, and being able to pick up that hamper was heavy, and it was difficult for me to get it into the laundry. Now, I haven't started that laundry because one of the bearings is going out in the washer, and it's very loud, and you can hear it on the microphone. So when I'm done with the stream, I'm going to do it. But I got the rest of it in there this morning. But that's something that the average person doesn't have to think about because they don't have back pain. And I didn't think about it until I had back pain, and now I got to think about it all the damn time. But it's things like the bamboo. I'm pointing at it. You all can't see it, but I'm pointing at it. It's at the end of my shelf. I thought it was loud, by the way, till I turned on my Taz 6. The bamboo might as well be a Prusa for how quiet it is compared to the Taz 6. But I needed to pull apart the extruder. Okay, no big deal. I can do that. Take the printer off the shelf. You can't do that, Grant. It's too heavy for you. Your back hurts. You can't take it off the shelf. Fine. I got to get up on a ladder. All right, bring a ladder in, set it up, get up on the ladder. That whole bending over to work on it was pressure off my back. Zerno says purposefully off camera. No, it is not purposefully off camera. Angelin says the Nigerian businessman, whoever he is still making money on the internet scamming people. As long as morals don't exist for you, scamming with the course and trainings is easy money. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Travis Albert says, hey, everyone, I am late. Oops. I have had 2 back operations, Grant. I know exactly what you are talking about. I have avoided going under the knife, and I have a number for what I'm going to do it, but it involves autonomy in the business. It involves the business running reasonably well without me. It involves being weeks ahead in content so that if I do go in for surgery and I have a longer recovery time than I want, the YouTube channel can still function without me. We might go to pre-recorded podcasts for a couple of weeks, or I might do one without a camera on like I've done in the past. But, you know, I'm not at a point as a business owner where I can walk away from the business for a couple of weeks and focus on my own recovery because the business won't survive for a couple of weeks without me. There's this whole idea of working on versus in your business. And that is a mindset that is a whole nother world. You need to be looking at what it is to work on your business from the outside in. While you are an employee of your business, you are a manager, you are an owner, you are a partner, and you need to look at what your bosses would do. If you're not a C-suite executive, you have to put yourself in the head of a C-suite executive. What would a C-suite executive do here? Can I hire somebody to do a job at $40 an hour that I can charge $150 an hour for, get the money up front, be able to pay them when the job is done, and take that extra money as my own, and then be able to do something else with my time? Is that a better use of my time, or should I just do the work myself and take all of that money for myself? That's a question you got to ask, because at some point you're going to run out of time and you will be required to bring on people. MadCat USA says C-suite executive. Please explain it. That is a CEO, CTO, CMO, CFO, the chief something officer, right? That is a C-suite level executive. Thank you for reminding me to explain that. Angela says, I find it hard to believe that nowadays there is someone out there without back pain, sadly. Well, Angelin, my back pain is real. I've not only modeled my spine on stream, I've actually brought you guys along with me to 2 of my 5 spine injections. There is a 3rd video that has never come out. That'll come out probably the week that we shave my head for charity. We're going to be shaving my head for charity. This has been growing out since August of 2020. For those that don't know, yes, my hair grows very slowly, but we are going to, and I'm wearing the shirt, so I'm going to do it. We're going to do a live thing, a live stream where we shave my head for the Sanjay Mortimer Foundation and the Make-A-Wish Foundation. It's going to be a whole thing, but I have 2 herniated discs, L4, L5, L5S1, north of 6 millimeter herniations, bilateral with marketed nerve impingement, for those that really want me to get technical about the back injury. But yeah. And apparently my hair grows very slow, because people are like, yeah, this would be like, you know, nothing. Well, I also end up combing out a lot of hair, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just losing my hair. I'm certainly going crazy, but, you know. MadCat USA says, oh, wow, how are you even walking? Amber. Yeah, Amber, and kind of dealing with it. There are days that are better than others, but those are things that you need to prepare for. You know, never I have 6 years of business school. Never did they tell you to plan for a global malware that would come through and shut down the world for multiple years and have supply chains that are still suffering 3 years later. Never. I promise you they do now. But it's this whole thing of not putting all your eggs into one basket. You might be tempted to do that where you have this cash cow of a client that's a couple of grand a month and it's, paying for half your rent and everything like that. But I can promise you it's not going to work because at some point they're going to leave you and you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem. Backyard Boogie says, I've had back issues as well. Fractured spine since 19 and getting worse. No surgery, no pain med, just fighting the pain naturally. I don't do any opioid-based pain medicine, but I will have to take some leave every now and then. But I use meloxicam and tizanidine for those that are ever curious. Tizanidine is a muscle relaxer, and meloxicam is basically a hardcore version of it. Leave it as an NSAID. I am giving out a lot of personal information on this podcast. Oh, well, we're here for it. Let's go. But yeah, back pain, chronic pain specifically, is something that I never thought I'd have to deal with, right? I have a family that's pretty good with chronic pain. No one really has too many major issues, but I do now, only a few months after I turned 30. So yeah, Ronnie says, L3 herniated here. Wintertime's the worst. Good thing it's Florida and we don't have winter. It is 26 degrees centigrade outside. Zerno says, last 4 digits of my social, mother's maiden name. No, I'm not going to give you any of that. My mom might, but my mom has agreed to come on for the Mother's Day podcast special, so that'll be a fun one. We're going to have a Mother's Day and a Father's Day podcast special this year. So if you guys want to meet my parents, we're going to be doing that this year, and I'm really, really excited into it. So, anyways, you do have to change the way that you look at things. And this whole, like I said before, in versus on. If you are working in your business, you are the person that is running the printers, picking up the phone, doing emails, quoting clients, slicing files, sending prints, cleaning printers, maintaining printers. You're going to the post office. You're going for coffee, if that's your thing. You're doing everything. If you're working on your business, you are looking at what it takes to grow it and what capital expenditures might be required. Now, there are a few different ways to start a business. You have your option of bootstrapping, which is doing it all yourself, 100% just you with the money you have in your pocket. You can take a loan, whether that is a bank loan, credit card loan. Please don't take a credit card loan, but you can take a loan out that is repayable. Or 3, you can look at getting outside investment from an investor. The latter of the two options to me are harder, but they're also easier. They're easier because the best kind of money is somebody else's money. Now, mind you, an investor money versus bank money is different. If your business goes under, most investors are not going to force you to have a personal guarantee. Banks generally do if you're a new business. And even if you're an older business, they'll force you to have a personal guarantee. So in the event that your business folds, you still have to pay back that loan. Now, if you do it all bootstrapped, you are risking your own time, your own money, and your own sanity at the same time. And that might be more beneficial to you. I know it was to me. I didn't want to have to owe anybody anything because that means I'm more of an employee than I am a business owner. So think about what that means for you. Now, there are some businesses that without influx of capital will never get off the ground. And I'm looking at you software businesses. Bootstrapping a software company without being the lead programmer is basically impossible. You're going to need money to hire people to build out that program for you. But when you look at hiring people, you have another option. Do you stay local or do you look abroad? Now, in the States, right, there's this whole idea of keeping U.S. labor as much as possible. Well, U.S. labor is expensive. You can go overseas to countries that have a significantly lower cost of living as well as a significantly lower dollar value when compared to the U.S. dollar and get like staff members for half or a quarter of the price. And that's why a lot of companies are outsourcing their work to other countries. Or, and then you have to play time zone game. right? That's a fun one. Or you can choose to keep it local to you, where people will have roughly the same time zones as you, maybe a few hours one way or the other, which we do here. You pay them more money, but they are valued members of a team. They're not just remote workers, right? They become people that you can trust on, that you can call when you need a favor, that if you need something done, they'll probably be there. They may not be, but they probably will be. And to me, those relationships are worth the extra money. Now, they're certainly harder to keep up. I could get a VA. I can get a couple of VAs to do the bulk of the administrative work here at 3DM for way less than I could do it myself. But the last thing I want is someone to pick up a phone, call us, and get some person that doesn't know anything about the industry, and it's just going to transfer them to me. I'd rather be the guy that answers the phone. And that's where I choose to work in my business versus on it. I'm the guy that answers the phones. I prefer it that way. We got Fotis Mint in the chat. How you doing, Fotis? DeWitt here is hanging out as well. DeWitt 3D Canada. Kasap says, Sugar Mama. I forgot about that. I'm unfortunately not attractive enough for OnlyFans. But, you know, just saying, that'd be cool. Kasap says, have to run. It's been good listening, Grant. I will see you next weekend, right? We're getting together next weekend. I'm fairly certain if it's this weekend, then I got to get in a car here in a couple of hours, but I think we're getting together next weekend. Ronnie says, working on the bootstrap method here next to my day job. So for a little bit there, I actually had a day job and was running 3D Musketeers at the same time. It forced me to look more at automating my business and looking at having others take care of the small things, like doing email during the day, right? I couldn't do it. I was working for somebody else. And the last thing you want to do is do work for your company on somebody else's dollar, because they will find out, they will come after you, and you will get in trouble because you're not supposed to do that. And that might even open you up to having them own a percentage of your company. Don't do that. Don't start your company on somebody else's dime either. Start your company in your own time and log when you're doing it, because in the event that there is a litigation, you will need to be able to prove that you didn't work on it on somebody else's time. In fact, I had 2 phones back then, kind of. I had one phone that was strictly for business and one that also rang when the business called, but I knew when that second phone rang that I couldn't pick it up. If I was at my day job and both phones rang, could not pick it up. Could not do it because I'm not on my time. People can still call my company all day. They'd have to leave messages and I would get back to them. I wouldn't answer emails. I wouldn't do any of that. But I also made a contractual agreement with that employer that, hey, I'm not going to stop running my company if I come and work for you. So that means my lunches are mine. It's my time, not yours. And as soon as it clicks over to 5:01, assuming I'm not staying late for something else, that time is now mine. And they agreed to that. We had a contractual agreement that worked. And I love that job. I wish I could go back to it. I miss that job because helping others is just something that I am grotesquely obsessed with. I want to help people. And that's why we have this YouTube channel, because I want to help people. Ronnie says, thanks to work from home, it's possible. I have a few items that are sort of related and unique, printing a specific stock and selling them, growing bit by bit that way. Yeah. The whole idea of work from home has enabled those that want to start their own small business to do it pretty damn easily, right? Some of our staff that work from home have a dedicated computer for their day job and a dedicated computer for everything else, which 3D Musketeers is included in that. And that's pretty damn cool, right? I do dig it. But, you know, they know the separation that is required on that kind of thing. I do believe that work from home is the best thing that has ever happened to people that are looking to start their own side gig, because it enables them to value their time way more. No longer are you having to drive into work 30 minutes each way, losing an hour of your day. That hour is now yours, and you are able to take it and do whatever it is that you want with it. And if that is, you want to go get hardcore into a hobby and start selling it, that extra hour is now yours to play with that you never had. And there might be some businesses that allow you to do this. I know Ultimaker has a whole thing where they will support their people in making their own side hustles. And I support our staff in wanting to do it. As long as they don't directly compete with me, I'll help them out however we can. We have staff that are actively pursuing YouTube careers, and I want to help them out however it is that I can. Angelin says, I think that even in America, you can try to find some enthusiast college guy or gal whom you can train to work, but also business handling, who works a few hours, but you pay less. That is possible, but be careful. College kids are not always the most intelligent. And I don't mean that in that their IQ is low. I mean that they have, their personalities are more alpha when they shouldn't be, right? They're know-it-alls. And a lot of us are or were that way, where we think we know it all, but you really don't until you find somebody that does, right? Just be careful about that. I see Allison Ford is here hanging out late to the party, but she's here. And as Mr. Pfeiffer says, D-Gens, be helping D-Gens. Yes. Duff asks, are there any 3D printed related vendors or suppliers that do term accounts? You know, I'm not certain. I've never asked. I've always paid for my stuff. Now, I put it all on plastic, and credit cards basically give you a 30-day window to pay off the card, right? You pay off the previous month's balance the current month, right? So since it's January, I would be paying off December's credit card bill in January. That's a way to get terms without needing terms. Now, we're large enough to where I could get terms if I wanted, but I don't, because I know my profit margins and I don't need it. Eddie's got the basic support. Thank you for your support. And again, remember, guys, if you do want to support the efforts that we do here, you can join our Patreon or YouTube channel members. Links are, of course, in that description down below. And don't forget to leave a like and get subscribed if you do like this kind of thing. We'd greatly appreciate it. And if you are looking to outsource your 3D printing, you can do so by reaching out to the pros at 3D Musketeers. We have a bunch of printers, and I got some downtime. Let's make awesome. That's what we do here. Yeah. I actually do these CTAs with no script. It's fun. But yes, work from home does enable you to kind of run 2 or 3 things at once, right? I have often dealt with people that are working from home that are customers, and I can hear them washing dishes. I can hear children crying in the background. I can hear dogs barking, and I oftentimes will hear a cat meowing, and that is the only time that I will actually acknowledge what's going on in the background. Say, oh, you have a cat. Can you turn on your camera? I'd love to see your cat, because I love cats. Cats are great. And it's a good way to connect with people, obviously, as well. But there are also some jobs that can't be work from home. Duff being one of them, who works in the construction industry, where, yeah, he can't work from home. It's not a thing. That's just not a thing. Angel says that they agree with me, but if someone came to them and took me by the hand and said, hey, buddy, come, I teach you business, I would have instantly said yes. Well, here's the problem, right? If somebody new comes to you and says, hey, I want to teach you business, chances are they may not know business themselves. And that might run into a bit of a problem. That problem being that you're learning from someone who doesn't really know what they're doing. So the learning that you're doing might not be useful in the long run. Just be careful about learning from newbies. I would look at what your company's policy is, and I would also look to see what your homeowners association policy is. It's why I will never live in a homeowners association. They're terrible. And anyone that lives with a homeowner association knows there's just nothing good that comes of them other than people hating each other. Now, I know that the homeowner associations are a big thing in the States, but they're not all that big outside. But what a homeowner association is a group of people that believe that they are dictators in a community that are able to, if you don't listen to them, put a lien on your house and look at getting you evicted. Yeah, it's a problem. And so make sure that in your homeowners association documents, if you have one, that running a business out of your house is actually okay. Because if it's not, you got to register your business somewhere else. Now, you can look at utilizing local services. A lot of counties out there in the United States have startup accelerators. Here in Pasco County, it's called Smart Start. I'm actually an entrepreneur in residence for Central Pasco County, where I volunteer my time in exchange for an office to help businesses start and launch and become bigger than they are. Basically, get from where you are to where you want to be. So if you are in the Pasco County area and you do want to get some help, hey, reach out. It's literally my job to help you. But those accelerators and those startup incubators are useful in helping you get your companies off the ground. They'll connect you with mentors, with people. I run classes with Domi Station where I'm their online MC because I talk a lot and I'm pretty good at it. And they have classes where you can log in and be able to work. It's pretty great. And it's a way for people to learn when they're not working, right? And if you can learn some key things like, do you know accounting? Because if not, get an accountant. Are you a lawyer? No? You should probably have a lawyer. Are you good at graphic design? No? Then you should probably get a graphic designer to help you out. That is absolutely where I say go to a local college. Go to a local college for a graphic designer. Don't go to Fiverr. I'm not a huge fan of Fiverr. It can be a pain. Angela says, coming from an ex-communist country, here everyone wants you evicted from everywhere. Yeah. Ruin says, I'm glad HOAs just aren't a thing here in that's Australia, I assume. It's wild to me that in the land of the free, people allow others to dictate how far your bin should be from your house. Yeah, let that one sink in, America. Just let that one sink in. Anyways. And yeah, I love that when I get on meetings with people and the cat's here, they're like, is that a cat? I'm like, yes, it is. And I'll pet her to wake her up. They're like, oh, this is amazing. I'm like, yeah, it is. We have a cool company. Change that mindset. You're not going to succeed, right? A lot of us will continue the hobbyist mindset for a while until it comes time to hire your first person. And that's someone who's going to work with you for a while, not just someone who's going to work with you for a little bit. It's someone who's going to work with you for a long time, right? We have our first staff member, his name is David, and he's been with us for almost 6 years now. No, almost 7 years. 6.5 years, I think, is about where he's been. And David was my right-hand man. Now David has a day job. David doesn't work with us too much anymore, but David is still part of the team, and he still does engineering work with us from time to time. He's still a team member, right? But when David came in, I hired David to run the company on Sundays. We had a retail business, so I had David run the company on Sundays, giving me 1 day a week where I could go get groceries, I could go out and do something with people that I cared about, and that kind of thing. That's when I started dancing as well. I don't do that much anymore, unfortunately. But, hiring David changed the way that I looked at the business, right? And that now I have somebody else that I have to afford. I remember the tough conversation where it was, hey, I don't have the money to pay you. We've overextended ourselves and I don't have the cash to cover your pay this week. If you give me 5 days, we have a payout that's coming and I'll be able to pay you directly from that. And I will never forget that he was totally understanding and more than willing to help us out. And I will forever be indebted to him for that because he didn't have to do that. It was not a requirement. And we agreed, we shook hands, and he got his money a couple of days later. And I will forever be in his debt for it. And I'm a good person to to have one owed from. Yeah, that's the way to say it. VastCNC says, how many printers and how many people are you currently managing? We have 45 printers here at the shop. Functioning printers, close to 30 now. A lot of them are in some form of disarray, but there's also a lot of enders. There are 2 enders you guys have never seen that I bought that have Hall effect sensors on them, so they're closed loop stepper drivers. There's Ender 3V2 that we use for the channel that I never use for the company. It is literally only ever used for the YouTube channel. And there are some other printers that are solely used for the YouTube channel. And there are some I'm trying to sell. If you're looking at a full color sandstone 3D printer, hit me up. I got one, and it's been really, really well maintained. It's not cheap. It's about 30 grand, so be careful. In terms of people, I believe we have 14 people actively. Well, okay, we have 14 people on the team. Actively, I would say we have about 9 to 10 of them at any time working on other jobs. Spike P100 is asking, what has been my biggest shock so far? How much this shit costs, right? Like how much everything in this process will cost you. And it's not just your time, it's your life, right? I look back, you know what? I'm going to show this photo. I've never shown this photo on a stream before, but I'm going to do it. This is a photo of Amber and I. We are on a battleship. We are on the Victory ship in Tampa. We were paid, kind of. We were given free admission and free food to dance. This is a picture taken by a buddy of mine on that battleship. I've actually danced on an actual battleship. And I look back at that and say, oh my God, look at me. Look how short my hair is. Look at how in shape I am, right? To me, the biggest shock, it's not the money, man. It's the freaking time. It's all the time that I've lost. It's all the time that just feels like it feels like that was yesterday. I still remember dancing on that boat. I still remember hanging out next to the band and just enjoying the music. I still remember all of that. So the biggest shock is how fast the time flies. Duff says, don't be that guy that can't pay their employees on time or say there's no money during bonus or raise time and show up to work at a new car. Yep, I drive a car that's older than some of our staff. It turns 21 this year, and I'm going to do something stupid involving booze with it at some point. I don't know what, but I got to do something funny. We have a really, really funny April Fool's video planned. We just thought of it last night on hanging out with playing video games. We're playing Satisfactory last night. We have a really great April Fool's joke, and I am really going to enjoy that. My brother, Tarsman, says, I remember working 2 jobs to help make payroll back in the day. 100% worth it. Yeah. That was, those were dark days. Those were dark days. Duff says, I've gone weeks not paying myself in order to make sure my guys have money to take home. Yep. I've gone years. And this isn't a one-up contest, right? This is year 7 for 3D Musketeers, and I have yet to take a paycheck. But that's okay, right? I am willing to accept that. I don't want to accept it, but hey, I'm willing to accept it. It is what it is. And this year, I'm going to take a paycheck. I am going to do it this year. And I'm really, really, really excited for it. It's going to be a thing. And yes, it was Mad Cat's idea. And Mad Cat, you're going to get credit for it. So stop it. Mad Cat says, Duff, I see that in medicine. I work for a not-for-profit medical corporation, and the company is saying they can't give us raises or bonuses, yet the CEO makes millions a year. And yes, as Tarsman says, we also pay very well. We pay over double what minimum wage here is in Florida because, yeah, I want to pay our people well. And if we paid people little money, we wouldn't have the awesome team that we do. So when you do look at building a team, look at what that costs you. Look at the expense that comes with building a team. Because if you pay them bottom of the barrel, you're going to have a lot of turnover. What I can confidently say is I would hedge a bet that we have one of the lowest turnover rates in the industry. We have not had a staff member leave us in a year and a half. And the only reason that staff member left is because Sony poached them from us. I'm okay with that. I am 100% okay with that. Spike P100 says, none of my Polymate 3D Patreon money has gone anywhere but back into the project to move it forwards. The community has made it happen. Vaccine says, do I have my team on W2 or 1099? 1099, because they all have day jobs and they're not busy enough to be W2s. There are also some really weird regulations when we go W2 because a lot of them don't live in Florida. We have more people working for us on the west coast of the United States than we do in Florida. And when we go W2, we have to abide by every one of their local laws and regulations, which is very complicated. And it is also more tax benefit for them to be 1099. Example, if our editor wants to get a new computer, he plays a lot of video games. He's got a massive Steam library and is not afraid to show it. And if he wants to get a new graphics card, well, a new graphics card is required for video editing, and it now becomes a full tax write-off for him. That's a big deal. That effectively makes that graphics card nearly free come tax time. If he's a W-2, Not how that works. He has to pay for that himself, and there is no tax benefit to that. So we choose 1099 because it is more beneficial for them. It is easier for us on the back end. And given the fact that everybody on the team at this point is remote, it makes the most sense from a tax benefit position. But you do have to make sure that you're abiding by those local laws and regulations, because if you're not, you're going to have a fun visit by 3-letter organizations. And if there's one thing that I don't like, it's 3-letter organizations. So yeah. Anyways, so what does pricing have to look like when you become a business? Well, you got to start charging for your time. And let's say you value your time at $15 an hour. Well, it's 20 minutes. Let's say it's 15 minutes to get the job together, right? You got to put it through the slicer, slice it up, go put in the right material into the printer, clean the bed, and then go ahead and start the print. The print runs for, let's say it's 5 hours. And then you've got maybe 30 minutes of support removal. So you're in 45 minutes of your time, which is, I don't know, call it $10. It's not $10, but call it $10 because it's easy math. It's like $12.50, but call it $10 of your time. But that 5 hours of print time is maybe only going to use 100 grams of filament, which is like $2, right? Let's call, a kilo of filament $20, so $2 for that bit of filament. And if you go to sell it for $5 thinking you're more than doubling your money, you've actually lost money. You have to look at what profit margins look like on a net basis, not just a gross basis, right? You have gross profit and net profit. Gross profit is what you look at after your expenses are taken care of, and net profit is what you look at after every one of your things are accounted for. That is salaries and all of that, right? Gross profit is just how much did it cost to make? How much did I make out of it? That's gross profit. Net profit is after all of your expenses are taken care of. And that is a planning on taking on staff. Working on it. We're working on it. Oh, I had such a good thing. We're back up, though. We're back up. The stream froze. Sorry, I was just getting into Greg's thing. Thank you, Jonathan, for pinging me. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't pay attention if the stream is working or not. So thank you. I'm going to go back to Greg's thing. I had such a good thing for it, but oh well, we're going to do it one more time. We got Gregory Pfeiffer with the $20 super chat. Thank you, sir. He says, the quality of life you provide to your staff is one of the single most important things you need to focus on when planning on taking on staff. Happy staff or productive staff. Productive staff makes the company money. You are absolutely right. If your staff are unhappy, they are not going to work with you. They are not going to love you. They are not going to want to be a part of your company. Productive staff are good staff. Pay them well. Pay them above market. Make them say, whatever your name might be. For me, it's Grant. Grant, I want to help you make your company so large that you can afford to poach me from my day job. I have had multiple staff tell me that, and that is the single largest motivator that I have in growing this company, because I want to poach them from their day jobs, and I want them to work with me full time, because damn it, they're worth it. Build a team that you love and loves you in return. If you can't do that, then don't bother getting into business, because you will not succeed. If you just take advantage of people over and over and over again, you're going to have so much turnover that you're going to have this reputation of being the asshole that just fires people all the time. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. Vast CNC says, Grant just gave top secret sauce for success and it's gone forever. Sorry, guys. But yes, no one wants to work these days. That's right, Karen, Tarsman says. No one wants to work for you for $12 an hour. You're right. The minimum wage here in Florida, I believe, is now up to $8.25 an hour. I honestly don't know, because we pay well above it. I know it was $7.25 an hour, and I said, I'm going to pay everyone $15. We're going to start at $15. Like I said earlier, I found out a staff member was still making $15 an hour, and I felt like shit, because the company minimum has been $17 for over a year. And I totally didn't know. So I just upped them to $20. And that will eventually make me whole. It'll make me feel good that they're getting the money that they deserve because they're pivotal in what we do. I just didn't know that it was that amount of money. I had no idea. Gregory Pfeiffer says, pay them well, treat them well, get them incentives to make going above and beyond worth it, and give them time off. Damn it. Absolutely. One of our staff just took a vacation for the first time in a few years and felt compelled to put it in the company Discord that they are going on vacation in part to the money that they've made at 3D Musketeers. And there is nothing that warms my cold, dead heart more than to see staff being proud of the work that they do here. Right? Now, this is getting a little preachy, so I want to get off my soapbox a little bit here. But, you know, you do need to pay people well. If you don't pay people well, you're not going to succeed. Spike P100 is asking, what would you say has been your most successful step so far? Oh, dude, that's a tough one. My most successful step so far is probably asking for help from others. I have a business mentor, and it's one that I've brought in over the past couple of months, and he's great. I would say that it is tough to ask for help, but it is one of the things that you need to do. You can sit there and hit the grindstone as much as you want, but you're going to have problems in being able to do everything yourself. Being able to go out there and say, hey, I could really use some help. Go to your local incubator and say, I could really use a business mentor. Go to SCORE, the Societal Corps of Retired Entrepreneurs, I think. SCORE. It's a thing of people that have retired from running businesses that are there to help you run yours. Now, I will say, I don't get a lot of value out of SCORE because the business, what it is so unique that very few of them are able to help. But it is good to talk with someone when you're looking at making these certain decisions. Service Corps of Retired Executives. Thank you, Mad Cat, because I don't remember these things. But SCORE is great if you're looking for basic business advice and helping your business get off the ground, especially if it's one that someone in SCORE has experience doing. They will guide you through the valley of shadow and death that is business. And that kind of help is invaluable. Don't be afraid to ask. And as someone that is constantly afraid to ask, you can't be afraid to ask, right? You cannot be afraid to ask. I would say that is probably the toughest lesson that I've learned, is to ask for help. And I still learn it all the time. I'm reminded of that lesson often. So, looking into the basics of competition. When you start a business, others are going to look at you and they might want to copy you, or you might be copying somebody else. Competition, you might think is bad. And I would hedge and tell you that it is actually amazing. Competition proves that there's a market already out there. And while it means you have to fight a little bit harder, being a first mover is a son of a bitch. Ask me how I know. Being a first mover in an industry means that you have to do all that market research yourself. You have to take all the risks. You have to build everything from scratch. And that is incredibly complicated, takes a ton of time and a ton of money. If you walk into an industry that already has competition, somebody else has done all of that work for you, and all you have to do is simply be better than them. And there are ways that you can compete. That competition can be things like being cheaper, which I don't recommend you do. You can provide better service. You can provide faster turnaround times. You can provide better quality. You can just be a better person. Find a need that exists out there and fill it. Don't start a business and say, if you build it, they will come, because they won't. You need to bring the business to you. They are not just going to show up because you decided to start a business. I know this. I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way, and you all might as well. Chris Travis says, hello, and if you don't ask, how are you supposed to know? Agreed. Spike P100 says competition will definitely be interesting for me. And Spike P100, his name is Paul. He owns Polymate 3D. We've actually done a video on his speakers, and I love them. I think they're friggin' badass. I think they make really cool gifts. And what Paul doesn't know is we're going to be building our own speaker enclosures and offering them out. And they're going to be very specific, tuned for audiophile stuff. And I'm going to likely work with him on that if he wants to. He doesn't know this yet, but he does now. These are future products that we're going to be building as part of 3D Musketeers branded items, right? As part of having a content side of our business that now gives me an outlet of nearly 10,000 subscribers to push ideas to. And that is a great target market for us because they're from all over the world, all walks of life, but they have one commonality. They, for some reason, like listening to me talk. But yeah, dude, competition. Like, we started as a first mover, and I'll tell you, that was so tough because we didn't know what the hell markets were good. Yeah, shh. Keep this between just us girls. Nobody tell Paul. He doesn't need to know this. Paul's Bruno. We don't talk about him. God, that movie was triggering if you have a Latin household. Anyways, like the stream, guys. Like the stream. Greatly appreciate everyone here hanging out, enjoying. I'm going to get a sip of water while you all hit that like button. And that was a 1 hour and 12 minute monologue with minimal breaks. Oh, it is still clicking on my monologue. Great. Fathom will count how often I've talked, and I'm seeing how long I can make the monologue detector go. I might have to turn it off because it is a little depressing sometimes. But I do my best when I'm in client meetings to not talk all that often. But yeah, competition is actually a good thing. And dealing with them is not going out and attacking them. It's not running Facebook ads against them. It's not a smear campaign to shut them down. It should be about finding a world where you guys can cohabitate and live together and be able to grow your businesses together, right? We work with a lot of our local competition and say, all right, look, we can all fight over the same damn slice of pie, or we can agree to not. And we agree not to. Right? We know the markets that we play in. We know the markets they play in. I misspelled that. Infinite monologuing? What? I am so confusing. Whatever. I misspelled that and I'm not mad. I don't know what misspelling I did, but whatever. Fine. Sure. We work with our local competition and we make sure that we're not competing over the same slice of pie because there's plenty of pie to go around and there's no point in competing over the same slice. The only one that we've all agreed that we're all going to play in is aerospace. That's because that pie is large enough for everybody to play in and still have a bite. So don't try to go after the same markets because then you're just an asshole. You want to look at kind of making your own niche in... Sorry, my internet went down again. I don't know why. I'm going to have to go reset it. I apologize. That's on me. That is the internet. Yeah, for some reason, I start lagging. Yeah. And see, now you all are telling me that I'm frozen, but I can see the stream is back up and running. So, because there's like a 10-second delay, I think, that YouTube puts in. So I apologize for that delay, and I hate it because it kills our numbers. So I will have to look at just resetting everything. So sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. But yeah, guys, like, you know, take care of those that take care of you. And that means your competition as well. You don't have to love them. You don't want to have to go out to dinner. You don't want to have to marry them or whatever. But don't be dicks, right? When new people come in to the industry, I tell them, look, here's what you need to know. You're going to struggle to compete because a lot of us have really, really good customer service. There's a few people that don't, and they know they don't. They just compete on price. And you can choose how you want to differentiate yourselves. If you want to be in a specific market that makes good money, then do it. Then no one is really going to bother you. But if you try to come after our clients, we will do everything in our power to make you suffer, right? Because the one thing you don't want to do is be the little guy going after the big business. Now, yeah, David versus Goliath, you could do it and you might succeed, but you also might fail. And when you're going after a business that is much larger than you, chances are you're not going to have the kind of money that they do. So do better. Don't go after them if you don't have to. When it comes to pricing, right, you really, 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 really need to make sure that you value your time. I don't want to see people going out there and producing, I'm going to use the Flexi Dragons, right? I don't want to see Flexi Dragons going for $20. That's too cheap. And I get that on something like a Bamboo, you can do it way faster than you can on a Prusa, but it's still too cheap, right? You're spending a lot of time working on those models, getting them sliced up so they're just perfect, so you have the right transitions of your multicolored filament. I don't think anything under $30 is enough money for them. And I get if you're going to a farmer's market, you might want to sell things at a lower price to try to build a customer base. And I'm deliberately picking on one of our Patreon members that sold out at his first farmer's market. And I said, if you sold out, that means you're too cheap. If you sell out of a product, you're too damn cheap. Or there's such a high demand that people are willing to pay whatever they want. And then again, you're still too cheap. You are probably too cheap. And I say that in your day job too. You're probably not charging enough money to not only your customers, but to individuals, right? To your day job. You're probably not asking for that raise that you deserve. So get your ass out there and ask for that raise. But when it comes to pricing your products, price your time accordingly. You have to deal with, if you go to a farmer's market, you got to drive there. You got to set up the table. You have to put together all this marketing material that goes out for free to people that they're not paying for. And that costs you money up front. And if you don't make up for that on the back end, you're going to work for nothing. Or worse, you're going to lose money. And while you might enjoy what you're doing and your books might show that you're making money, start using QuickBooks or FreshBooks or whatever. I should get FreshBooks. FreshBooks, sponsor this podcast. I should get one of those companies to sponsor an episode all about the accounting side of things and what it takes to run a small business. But if you're not tracking your expenses, and I'm talking about everything, right? Then you are going to lose money because you're not going to find that profit anymore. Tony D says, if others are selling the product very cheap, do I price based off of them or my own value and time? I do think my product looks better than theirs. Well, that one's up to you, right? If you're trying to play on Etsy, you pretty much have to be the cheapest guy on the block, right? If you want to get any amount of sales, you got to be one of the cheaper guys on the block. And I see people routinely selling printing time for $1 an hour. I think that is way too damn cheap, right? And yes, it will absolutely cut down on the amount of, like, you will make back your filament at $1 an hour. You will, right? There's just no way you don't. Although I say that, and I can print faster on the bamboo than I can make money at $1 an hour. So yeah, there are reasons where you might want to spend more than that. But some people think that that's enough because it pays for their filament, but they're ignoring their time. If you're trying to play on Etsy and you're not the cheapest, you need to prove that your product looks better. You want macro photography. You want clean, proper photos with professional backdrops. And professional backdrops are really easy to make. Go get a bed sheet in whatever color you want. Drape it from your ceiling. So stick it with command strips or thumbtacks to your ceiling, drape it over a table in a nice curved manner. Put your parts on that, take your photos, little bit of Photoshop to get rid of any of the creases that you forgot to iron out, and you have beautiful product photos. Beautiful product photos. And if you can do even better, have product photos out in the open, right? Take them out in the grass. Go put them in a bush. Go put them with color. Show them with color that is both complementary and one that's very odd, right? Amber has a lot of really cool looking cactuses, whatever you might call it. And I like to take photos of parts with the cactuses because it's cool looking. And it makes for good photos. We have orchids that basically bloom year round. So I like to take photos of parts with the orchids because that is a juxtaposition and it looks better. And because I can. And because we had a Patreon member send us a really dope ass camera and I like taking cool photos with it. So yeah. But people shop with their eyes, right? Just like you eat with your eyes. If you see some food and it doesn't look appetizing to you, you might say, gross, I'm not eating that. And I would say, is it traditional? Because if it is, I'll eat it. If it's not traditional, then I'm going to wonder why it's not traditional. But a lot of times traditional cooking doesn't look all that pretty. Pretty cooking looks pretty, but I'd rather have a meal that looks like mush and tastes amazing than a meal that looks amazing and tastes like shit. And also traditional cooking tends to be a little bit more, affordable, right? So Mr. Pfeiffer is saying people will pay a premium for a premium product. They will, but they have to know your product is premium. And if you're providing, somewhat blurry photos with generic ass backgrounds and you're copying what you already see, you're not going to be successful. You need to prove that your value is better. And Uncle Jesse has talked about this before with the Zoo Ghosties that everyone was printing. And he was saying, you know how you can make money right now? Be faster. Charge more. But with the lead times that most people are offering right now, you're not going to get parts out before Halloween. And that's when people want them for. They want them for Halloween. So if you can provide faster service and you charge more money, do it. As Spike P100 says, stand out, don't blend in. People would be surprised with how much value a good photo adds, Ruin says. I absolutely agree. Good photos of your parts are incredibly pivotal to what is required for you to succeed as a business owner. If you are taking crappy shots with a 10-year-old iPhone, you're not going to show people the real value of your products. Get a DSLR or get a macro lens for your phone. I want to see up close. I want to see those layer lines. I want to see a lack of ghosting. I want to see that you know what the hell you're doing. And while the average consumer might not know what ghosting is or what it means or how it affects your prints, they're going to see the difference in the quality. And you could do the thing that monitor manufacturers do where you put theirs versus ours, but that's also being a dick. So don't do that unless you got to. I believe that good photos will make a difference, right? I mean, geez, look at all the celebrities that are photoshopping themselves. They know a photo makes all the difference, so they fake it a little bit. It makes sense. Some dude says, some would say they're worth like 1,000 words. That's true. 1,000 words or two definitely matter. Welcome to the chat, Fix'em dude. Love having you here, buddy. But yeah, guys, you need to focus on giving a damn about yourself, giving a damn about your products, giving a damn about your time. Because if you don't, your customers surely won't, right? When you go to Amazon, you subconsciously will look for the thing that's cheaper. You might go 3 or 4 pages deep and try to find the same product, but for less money. I know I did. I did it recently when I bought labels for my label maker. And I know that because I labeled my label maker. That's how you know you have a label maker, when you've labeled your label maker. And I bought ones that were cheaper. And what I neglected to look at is that they were the paper labels and not the plastic labels that I was looking for. So they look a little bit cheaper. But for what my use case is, I don't particularly care. All right, now we're back again. Sorry, I gotta be... All right, I think we're back again. Ronnie Rothoff said, if I bought... All right, I don't know, guys. We might have to cut this one early because of the internet issues. But I apologize. It is not my intention to have internet issues, but this is what happens when you live in the boonies. And I can't afford Starlink right now. It's $100+ a month, so maybe it's a bad time of day. Who knows? But the basics of what I was saying is buy once, cry once, right? If you want to buy a good camera, buy a good camera. It's a tax write-off, so go ahead and do it. Choi0706 asks how I like the bamboo. It's been giving me problems, and while it did get through 7 kilos of filament without any issues, my Prusa's can do that too. On the 8th kilo, I had to tear apart the extruder twice in one day and replace a hot end because it was jammed on the cold side, and I'm not a fan of that. That upsets me. So, yeah, we will be doing a whole video on things I love and hate about the bamboo coming up soon, so make sure you get subscribed if that is something that you guys want to see. But yeah, buy once, cry once is a big deal for business, and because a lot of it is something that you can write off on your taxes, there's no reason you shouldn't spend a little bit of money to do it right. But yeah, do it right. And like, I bought the bamboo because I had a job that could pay for it, right? And I said, all right, let me see. It'll run the job. It was a 7 kilo job, and it's done. Mind you, it should have been done 2 days ago, but it got done late last night. So, yeah, pain in the ass. Shotgunner says, very happy with Starlink in Arizona. And I can get Starlink here in Florida, but I don't want to pay the $80 a month that I'm paying for Spectrum and $100 a month for Starlink when the switchover is going to take a bit anyways. I'm still going to end up having streaming issues. So I'm sorry, guys. I'll go reset the router as soon as we're done. But if I reset the router now, it's going to go down anyways. So yeah, standing out from your competition is going to involve you actually doing something different. And that difference really comes into who you want to be as a business. And I'm saying you as a business, not we, because it's your business, not mine. But if you want to be the person that's the fastest, then be the fastest. If you want to be the person that's the most affordable, then you're barking up the wrong tree. If you want to be the person that provides good customer service and bridges the gap between business owners and engineers, hey, you might call yourself 3D Musketeers. And if you want to be the person that says, I don't really care if I'm the most expensive on the block, I provide the best quality parts, the best turnaround times, I know what I'm talking about, and I have an entire YouTube channel full of videos that prove all of that. Well, you might also call yourself 3D Musketeers. We are certainly not the cheapest. And I don't want to be, because I want us to provide value to our customers. And if I was the cheapest, we wouldn't exist. So I'm not going to bother with it. Ruin asks if my ISP offers business accounts, they should provide redundancies. They do offer business accounts. They do not provide redundancies, and it is no better than the home-based account that we have. And in fact, it's almost double the price. So not going to do that. So, like, yeah, you could go over to a business account. Well, do you offer any guarantee of uptime? Well, no. Well, then why would I go to your business account? Oh, well, you get priority service. I said priority service doesn't change anything, because if I'm out of internet, so is everybody else in the area. So you're going to prioritize that anyways. So don't tell me that bullshit, right? Yeah, you can get failover if you want it, but you're paying for two, not one. VastCNC asks if I'm pumping kilos through the SV06. I am not currently. That machine is sitting idle. I had some parts to run on it today, but I just haven't gotten to it. I had a late night last night, and I woke up late, and I've been playing catch-up most of the morning. Wolfpack says, 15-year computer program here. I felt your pain describing your back issues. Before you go under the knife, maybe try this. Numbers 2 through 4 are what brought me back to feeling like a normal person. I'm assuming that's injections. I've had 5, and I had the 5 epidural steroid injections, and they didn't work. They didn't do anything for me. I tried the ones at the disc and caudal injections. He's saying, also get a really good chair. Herman Miller, Aaron gang, let's go. And great story about that. I paid $100 each for 5 of them at a garage sale. I found them at a garage sale. $100 each. Everybody in the family now has Herman Miller Aarons. Previous to this, I had a steel case Leap V2, which I got on the gray market. But I highly recommend Herman Miller Aarons if you have back pain. And they also breathe really well, which is great. But yes, these chairs are effing expensive. They're like $1,600 brand new. And I want one. I want another one. Actually, I want to get a Herman Miller Embody. I would love Herman Miller to sponsor this channel. That would be cool. And yes, $100. And look, I literally keep it here because nobody would believe me otherwise. This is the sticker that I saw on that chair when I drove by. I said, wait a minute, those are Aaron's. And nobody had bought them. And I asked the guy if I took all 5, would he be willing to take any less? He said, I know what these chairs are. You know what these chairs are. You're not getting a dime off this price. I said, that's fair. But I said, you'd be mad if I didn't ask. He said, that's fair. And you'd be mad if he's like, and you're not mad that I'm not giving you a discount. I said, hell no. I know I'm getting a great deal. So give him $500. And he delivered 2 of them to me because I couldn't fit all 5 into my 2-door Honda. I could fit 3. That was fun. But anyways, yeah. It is great. Joy says very breathable. You can smell your farts easily. Yes, that is technically true. But it also means you don't get hot and sweaty in your chair, which is a big deal for me. Anyways, enough chair talk, which I could do for a long time. I've got like actual spreadsheets of my thoughts and feelings of different chairs. I have testing of all the different Aaron lumbar supports, because I have the really nice one, the medium one, and the one with nothing. So I've tried out all of this. It's a whole thing I can get into. If the Patreon wants to know about it, I'll do like a Patreon stream one of these days, and we can talk about chairs or some shit. But yeah, standing out really does require you to be a little bit different. When we go to shows, we show up. I will bring printers, hundreds of parts. I will bring my scanners. I'll put the Artec Ray up on a tripod 8 feet in the air and run it. It's not going to do any, like, it's going to scan things, but it's not going to be useful because people are moving. But it is really, really cool. Duff says, I hear you're supposed to spend $100 per hour you sit on your chair per day for a base value. Okay. Yeah. So if you're sitting in a chair for 8 hours a day, an $800 desk chair is reasonable. The thing about Herman Miller's, I'm going to go back to this real quick. They have a 12-year unconditional warranty. So if something goes wrong in the 12 years that you have it, you just get the new parts. And my first Aaron was 21 or 22 years old. And it had some issues, but it was still an Aaron and it worked just fine. I think my brother uses that at his office now. But yeah, just like you're supposed to spend good money on a bed, since you spend a fair bit of your life in your bed, you want to also spend good money on a chair so that your ass doesn't hurt. Wolfpack says, I always thought I had a good chair before. Then I watched one of those S-tier shootouts of all the chairs and realized my office chair was F-tier. Yeah, that happens. So anyways, back to it. Standing out from competition is a really big deal because I don't care how good you are at what you do. If you can't be different in some way that makes people want to buy from you, guess what? They're not going to buy from you. They're going to find somebody else. They're going to stick with who they've got, or you're not going to be found. In today's day and age, you need to have good search engine optimization. You need to make sure that people can find you on Google. If they can't find you on Google, then there's no point of you being a business. Focus on making sure that you have good SEO and you'll get phone calls coming in. Now, I've got a current problem that I'm going to have to solve a very unfortunate way. But Google wants thumbnails on the videos that play on our webpage, except they're GIFs. They're not videos, and I can't put thumbnails for them. So that's going to be a fun problem I have to deal with. And Google docks you if you don't solve that problem. So most likely, I'm just going to replace it with a static image, and that's it. Makes the site look less cool, but is what it is. We have to separate ourselves. So what do? We have a professional website that shows off what we do. It shows off the clients that we've worked with. It shows our team, and it really highlights the YouTube channel. Because I believe, and this is some free advice right now for those of you that are looking to get into the 3D printing industry, people don't understand it. And they need others to help them understand it. So all right, are we back? We're gone. Maybe, just maybe. I'm trying here, guys. I'm sorry. It's not my intention to have a stream like this. You guys know I'm better than that. But, yeah, man, I'm sorry. I don't like this. And I was on a good roll too, but as soon as the internet goes down, I lose I lose my focus. So it happens, guys. I think we're just gonna have to call this one early so we stop having internet connectivity issues. I'll be dealing with this a little bit later. I obviously have a call to make to Spectrum because you know, well, this is my business, right? Greg said it's out of my control, but it is my business, and if I can't keep my business running, we've got a problem. Cerner says, I wish I would have picked up some of the random steel case chairs from Office when I got the one at home cheap at auction. I think most of them were closing for less than 60. Yeah, that's a good rate. Are we back up and live? Because YouTube is not saying that I am. Give me a second. Let me refresh on the YouTube side. Because I should be up and running. No, I'm not. Oh, no, I am. Okay. God. I'm like, what's going on? Sorry. Did I ever get a video of my print farm? No, because the farm is a little bit stagnated. Well, stagnated. It's not, all the machines are not where they belong. So Yeah, all the machines are not where they belong. Yeah, John says yes, he's live. I refreshed and I was able to see that I was live. So yeah, sorry. Anyways, yeah, I like this. Beardcula says Spectrum is the best option I currently have. That is also the same here. Spectrum is the best option that I currently have. Quick CTA, like the stream, sub if you are feeling cheeky and want to join the DGens on the Discord, hit up the $10 tier in the Patreon. That's right, Mr. Pfeiffer is one of the resident DGens, and we do like to have some fun. But guys, I got to cut this one here. I would like to go longer on this topic, but I don't have faith in my internet, so I got to go get on the phone with Spectrum and get that one all sorted out. So we're going to call this one here. I think we've covered a lot of the basics and everything that we need to cover. There's a lot to go over when it comes to business. And, you know, if you guys have anything specific, make sure to leave it in the comments on the video. The live chat, I won't be able to see. But if you leave an actual comment on the video, maybe we'll make it into a future podcast episode. Because I do want people to start learning how to make money with their 3D printers. It's fun. But realize it might ruin the hobby aspect of it for you. I know it has a little bit to me. And every now and then it gets reinvigorated. But sometimes, like, I just don't want to print anything. Because I'm tired. And I just would rather make money. But hey, it happens. Anyways, guys, that is all I have for you all today. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one.